Hello Total War gamers, my name is Deacon and welcome to my Total War channel. Now, would you want to play Warhammer II? That's the question I'll try to help you get answered for yourself as we play through this review campaign of Warhammer II. And an interactive campaign at that actually, so we're going to play with Morathi and the Dark Elves. Hopefully have loads of battles and lots of fun as well. Also do check out my other review series, there's one going for Tyrion right now. And I'll be doing also a review series for the Skaven and the Lizardmen. So if indeed that is the kind of content that you do enjoy, please subscribe and stay notified, hit the subscribe button and you'll keep in tune. Now I've played the Total War series since Shogun 1, that was in 2000, and since then there's actually no way to count how many hours I've played in the series as a whole. My estimate is well over 10,000 hours. So I should be able to point out the kind of things that you would want to consider when reviewing a game, whether you'd like to play it or not. And also at the end of the video I'm gonna ask you for your opinion, if it's worth playing for you or not. So do participate in the discussion as we review the campaign. It's going to be very interactive if you ask me. I have a Discord set up as well that you're welcome to jump into. And mostly I'm just curious about people. I'm curious about my viewers. And so I'm curious about you, how you feel about stuff, life in general, most particularly the gameplay in the campaign. So I'm not going to judge or rate or give you my opinion. The judgment basically is yours. So rather than throwing a single review video at you and then giving you my opinion, I'm going to do a whole series, and as things progress and we encounter new stuff, review it, give considerations, stuff to discuss without really at least I'm going to try and refrain from final judgment, at least not until we've played way through the campaigns and then all four of them. So we'll discuss the game based on its own merits. So this is both Total War and a Warhammer game. So if you're a Total War veteran, then you may feel a certain way about certain game features due to your early experiences. However, if you have a Warhammer background, you're completely unbiased in that respect. But it is Warhammer, and that is a thing in itself. And as a Total War vet, you'll have to factor that in. And also, what you need to keep in mind is that this is a game that is going to emerge eventually with Warhammer 1. So if this would have been a completely new game, there wouldn't have been this possibility to merge the two together. And they've kept that option alive. But it does put limitations also on Warhammer 2. So that's one thing to be aware of as we discuss. But as you can already feel, there's loads of things to talk about. And if you're already playing this game, let me know, or if you're looking at this wondering if you're going to buy it or not, please put a comment down in the comment section. Just pause the video, go down there and say what your situation is for the moment. Now I have played a previous single session of the Dark Elves with Marathi, and then after reviewing the recording I noticed that the volume of sound was just very low. So I'm gonna redo the whole thing, and hopefully you'll be able to hear everything that goes on in the background as well. But enough talking, let's review the start statistics and then get going. The Black Arks are a powerful naval unit that you can hire in the campaign by spending currency. There's slaves, which are a bonus currency for provinces, public order, but also other stuff, as you'll see, as I've seen the previous time. Murderous prowess is the racial trait that is applied in battle. Then here we are playing the Cult of Pleasure with Morathi. She spreads chaos corruption. She has plus 20 diplomatic relations with the Dark Elves. Could be nice if we're going to confederate in the future. Hero action costs are 50% reduced, so we should make use of that. And then there's always a chance for lords in her region to gain loyalty. And the chaos corruption spreading effect of all characters is +1 per region. Now we start out with a War Hydra and Harpies, both of which are Interesting for flanking attacks in the case of War Hydra, and rear attacks for Harpies when attacking missile units. Now, the campaign difficulty is very hard. The initial challenge is already hard, and battle challenge is also very hard. Here it is. The hardest it gets, really. Oh yeah, very hard it says. No battle realism mode. That effectively puts it at legendary, and then you can no longer pause the game. So if normally I have to pause the game for something happens, then I like to be able to do that. I'm a gaming dad, so if you are a gaming dad, give me a shout out. I have 3 children, and I try to combine that with playing games and even doing little review videos for my viewers online on YouTube. So if you do appreciate, give a like, and now let's crack on with Morathi, get this thing started.
The world has seen countless murders, but one killing stands above all others. One death that has shaped the world. Malekith, son of Aenarion, was betrayed. The elven princes crowned Belshazzar as the second Phoenix King. So Malekith brooded and poured his hate into a single cup. Malekith toasted Belshazzar, then stepped over his dying body and into the sacred flame of kings. But the fires stripped his flesh, and with a final scream, he hurled himself back from whence he came. His body was taken north, and a suit of armor forged. Malekith was reborn. The Witch King, and in his shadow, legions raised. Decades of civil war followed. Then Malekith embarked on the most ruthless of plans. His sorcerers would unbind the magic of the Great Vortex. Created by Kalidor Dragon Tamer and his elven mages, the Vortex siphons the winds of magic, keeping the demon tide at bay. Malekith's spell was flung at the Vortex, but Kalidor himself broke through the mists of time to deflect the titanic force back at its casters. The Shadowlands were ravaged, sundered.
You live. You die. You live. You die. Servants, you amuse me.
The dragon with 2 tails hangs in the sky, and you indulge in petty games.
You summoned me, Your Highness. You bring this witch here.
She's well versed in lore and prophecies.
She will betray you, my son, as all have done.
She's indebted to me. I have her soul. Step forward, Felicion the Heartkeeper. The comet disrupts the vortex. Whilst it is weak, a prophecy can be fulfilled.
Of a king who consumes the heart of Ulthuan. My son will take its power and our vengeance.
Find the Oracle. She knows what to do.
I am willing to serve, to earn my soul's release.
So, Great Vortex, Hag Sorceress will hunt out the scrolls of Hecate needed to enact the ritual that will see her kin dominant. So the Great Vortex swirls at the heart of Ulthuan. We've all seen that it's vulnerable, and once before Malekith took aim at the Vortex. The repercussions, we've seen it in the video, it was called the Sundering. And now this time Morathi, his mother, has a plan. We're obviously playing as Morathi, and she's been banished southwards while her son broods, has to be brooding on revenge. She's gonna hunt for the scrolls of Hecate. Now obviously it already points out that we're gonna need Hecate kind of scrolls to enact rituals to see our kin, the kin of the Dark Elves, dominant in the game. It's basically a description of the background and the purpose of our Vortex campaign. All the great races are basically fighting the Vortex campaign, but each has its own kind of currency basically. So in our case it's called Scrolls of Hecate, and they're called rituals that progress the Vortex campaign. In comparison, there's also rites that we'll review once we get there, and those rites basically give you temporary campaign buffs. And of course, well, campaign can distribute the buffs throughout the various parts of the campaign, so it could be like economy-wise, public order-wise, and so on. So we need both rites and rituals, and both of them have their own currency. So the Scrolls of Hecate are a currency that allows us to progress our rituals that will progress the Vortex campaign, and actually the rights that I just mentioned, they are being fed by the slaves. So we have slave economy, which is like comparable to the peasant economy of Bretonnia in Warhammer I, or perhaps the amber economy of the Wood Elves, also Warhammer I. It's special currency, and this was in addition to the game once the Wood Elves were introduced. Amber was something new, and then came Bretonnia, also came the peasant economy, and they've kind of kept that in the game and translated it into well, different kinds of currencies for the different races. If you've seen the High Elves campaign that I'm also doing a review campaign with, there's a link in the description that'll put you over there. And then you have wave fragments and influence and treasury, and here with the Dark Elves we'll see very soon that we have Scrolls of Hecate, slaves, and also treasury. Now we're gonna spend treasury of course on buildings and on army upkeep, also the recruitment of lords and heroes, that kind of thing. But the slaves, they can be put to use either by let's listen.
Brings great turmoil upon the world, my children. Its wake disrupts the great vortex. The heart of Ulthuan is exposed. Such turmoil brings opportunity. Yet it seems my son is
the bleak old fortress
to bend the vortex to his will. The traitorous dreadlords of Bleakhold have struck in my absence, annexing cities I claim and carrying off the treasures within. Whatever has driven them to such a suicidal attack is irrelevant. All who oppose the Witch King shall die.
Now, character introduction to Morathi. I don't know about you, she reminds me of Cersei in Game of Thrones. She's so revenge-driven, hateful, that kind of person, that there's just no other ruler kind of fantasy figure that I could compare with as strongly as with Cersei in my mind. Advanced settings, we've already set it to minimal, but I'm going to switch to text only. So I like to hear Morathi every once in a while, but I have the feeling that we're gonna get the advisor, who was just I don't know, I don't really like his voice. Now I've pumped up, I've done away with missions. We'll review them in a minute. I'm gonna reduce the music volume just a little bit, because to my feeling this is gonna be too loud, or at least it is in my ears. Let's go this way. If you feel the music is too soft in the background, please do let me know. Just give a shout out in the comments and we'll see. Now, voice acting in like Star Wars: The Old Republic, that was like the first fully voice acted game. The Sunderer, the first sorceress.
sorceress.
She's also, yeah.
I watch from the shadows.
Keep talking, lady. Yeah, there's one thing I would like to... we're gonna hear more voices and we're gonna hear different lines, but this is one of the things that I feel is worthy of review. There's been a whole big deal about, well, maybe you're not a Total War series player, but the voice actor doing the prologue in Medieval 2, well, that was a big thing when that happened. We're playing on very hard, by the way, so this army has a lot more units than it has compared to the hard campaign, but well, we're playing it very hard. Bleak outlook. Now, in the introduction by Marathi, she was speaking about the Bleak Holes, a faction. Let's consider it sort of like if you play the Empire in Warhammer 1, the secessionists. They were like a rebel force, and this is our territory. This green stuff here is theirs. So basically, they've done a rebel uprising, and to conquer a province or a starting territory, we basically need to wipe them out. So we could go either this way or that way, and well, get them over with. Here's their starting army, which is too strong. So first things first, I'm gonna put her inside our settlement. Have, what shall we use? I'm going for some more spam and dread spears. Right. Now, I was talking about this in the introduction. This is a sacrifice to authority. It gives loyalty to the lords and a bonus to public order. It lasts for 5 turns. It's not too much. Also nothing to scoff at. It does have a 20 turn cooldown, so takes in total every 25 turns you get to do this once, but you have to invest 100 slaves. Now we'll get back here, but another thing to do with slaves is putting a bonus on slave distribution on a city, putting it in the receive stance or in hold off stance. So this is something that you can use to grow your cities with, and right now this is our capital. We have this building over here and it does give a growth bonus, but of course we're always interested in growth. I'm going to build this, in the meanwhile get bleak swords, and here's our slave economy. So right now we have one city requesting additional slaves, which is the Iron Peaks, and we don't own any other settlements, but this is like the slave management tab, and then here is the rights where we just were. So the increase, or as these rights progress towards the right, you get different kinds of buffs, and you can actually tell by the number of lines here that it becomes increasingly more interesting. But also the cost in slaves increases. So at the end you have to spend 500 slaves to get a black arc that you can get every 25 turns. So it would be wise, if you see turn 25 coming up, to save for like a 500 slaves, so you can recruit the black arc and be back at it at turn 50. So there's like a campaign dynamic that you can plan for. And well, I've made a reference to Warhammer 1. If you're a Warhammer 1 owner, do please give a shout out in the comments. But you'll note certain differences in the campaign, in the user interface, and but also in the management, really. Now, if you're a Total War player and you compare this game to what was Attila, for example, that was one of the more complex games in terms of management of resources and so on. These guys. Morathi is a manipulator, and she commands the loyalty of all the Dark Elves. This is why she has a bonus to Dark Elf relations, and it also means that we're gonna make use of that. So we're gonna play the diplomacy game as we progress, rather than just attacking everyone and declaring war on everyone. So hold on for a second while I lower the volume on my headset. There we go. Because otherwise I can't hear myself talking. But so if you're a Warhammer 1 owner, then I'd like to know if once the Mortal Empires campaign comes out. This is quite a large campaign, but it'll still be like a mini campaign compared to the Warhammer I world, the old world campaign, or this one, the Vortex campaign. In my case, I suspect I never really did any of the mini campaigns in Warhammer 1, so I don't suppose that I will be playing any more of this Vortex campaign after the Mortal Empires comes out. But that's something that I'd like to know from other players as well. Are you going to leave the Vortex campaign altogether, or is there still stuff that you feel? Of course, is a question that you have to consider for yourself as you watch the gameplay. Am I going to the replayability basically of the campaign? Of course, it's a large campaign. It's a huge map. It has loads of settlement. There's also a whole lot of ocean in between. But that, of course, is something. Now here it says hero not moved. This is one of those user interface improvements. This exclamation mark means that there's something that we can still do. And there's one action that we... Oh no, this is turn 1. There is this action that we haven't done yet. And we have research available. And we have hero not moved. So 2 things to do. We're going to add him to the army of Marathi and add it to the roster and start our research. Thanks for the tip. Now, driven by vengeance. This is like basically this could be the title to the whole Morathi campaign. Basically, she's the vengeance. The same goes for Malekith, but they're so driven by vengeance it consumes them. But it also gives a -5 for Dread Spares and Dark Shards and so on. Now, recruitment, I think, is a shit buff really. I'd like upkeep to be reduced, and of course there's plenty of other buffs that'll do that. Income from raiding, I'm not much of a raider, but we'll have to get used to it because, well, we're a raiding faction, which is clear from these kinds of buffs. Post-battle loot is very interesting. However, I prefer growth, so I'm gonna go with growth first, and then as we unlock these, we're also going to unlock whatever is in here. So basically you need these 3 to get over there if you'd like, but these stuff, these buffs, as we'll see, are just way too interesting to ignore, especially at the beginning of the campaign, like growth, because it's cumulative throughout the rest of the campaign. It's like same goes for interests on the bank. This is like interest, we need it. Now let's hit the end turn and get our recruits and then smash that army over there. And then walk our circle to Pike City over there. What's it called? Iron Spike. Now Naheth, the good girl that she is, or the good boy, I don't know, is now raiding us. But we won't be swayed. We're going to continue to recruit and be badass. So I've perhaps touched on this just a little bit, but one thing to understand is that what drives me to do this stuff is my curiosity about my viewers. So it means that if I don't get interaction with you, I've basically failed. I would be completely disillusioned and haven't reached my goal with this particular video. I mean, I've noticed that there is a sense of enjoyment, extra satisfaction than whenever I record a glorious victory. I know that other people will be watching it with me and enjoying it with me. So it's to the greater satisfaction of more people, which is cool, of course. But in this case, I'd really like to have discussion with other gamers. That's what I want out of it. So you can help me reach that by reaching out through the comment section or Discord or well, whatever way you can think of. I can't think of any better ways. But if that doesn't happen, that's about all I get out of this, save for maybe views and subscriptions and so on. Well, you're really welcome to subscribe. Of course, that is also a rewarding show of appreciation to a video producer if people subscribe. I mean, let's be fair and honest. The other thing is these videos are not monetized currently. I might do that in the future, but as things are, probably if you're watching this in 2007, there's no monetization on my videos. Now we need to sally out and kill the mother lovers. Let's not get flagged for improper language. No stopping me. So how do you like Marathi? Do you love her voice? Is that what could wake you up at 4 in the morning and say yes? That's the voice for me. I think it's kind of touching. They've tried. I think it's enjoyable. Now, where am I? I'm the attacker, so I should be here in the red zone, right? Nahat is a single lord, lady. I think a lady, given all the makeup. Looks more like an assassin, though. I don't know. It's interesting. But one of the major things to have an opinion on, or to form your opinion about, is the question whether or not this game is an improvement over Warhammer 1. Because I've heard many people say this is basically an expansion, and then perhaps if you would compare it to the price of DLC, you get 4 DLC races and campaign and so on, legendary lords, stuff it all together, then still you would probably be buying this as DLC for Warhammer 1 also. So in terms of value for money, it's probably worth it. But then again, is it an improvement? That's another question altogether. And that of course depends on the new game mechanics that they've developed, the improved or more challenging management options, and so on. And this is something, if you're playing this game yourself, if you own the game, let me know. Of course, it changes stuff when you're discussing gaming with people that are both, say we're both playing the game, then that's fun to know for multiple reasons. So meanwhile, I'm going to set up my army here, close to my reinforcements. I'll move them over there as well, and then see how we fare. And then let's get to the talking. Start the battle. I'm happy with I'm happy with my position, sort of. I'm gonna run them over here anyway. There we go. Now the reason why I'm not recruiting, we're getting bleak swords soon, and I haven't reached an opinion yet on the comparison between bleak swords and spare infantry, the dread spares. Of course, spares are supposed to be something that relies on rank bonus, so you do need to deploy them in depth, and then you get bonus versus large. And what else do you get? You get how do I bring up the unit? Where is it? No. I used to be able to okay, should I simply pin this? I'd like that to pop up whenever I click a unit, so we can discuss. Oh yeah, now you can even compare. So in terms of hit points, the bleak swords are these guys are the same, so it's more easy to compare. The same hit points. The spares actually have a higher level of defense. In terms of the rest of the stats, leadership, melee, weapon strength, charge, and so on, the bleak swords are better. It all depends on your game. If we are going to play this game mostly relying on our spare wall, for example. Now this is not funny because they're gonna come. Where's our Hydra? Hydra, are you still here? So I'm gonna send over the Hydra to the flank here, and the Harpies over there. I'm gonna put these spares over here, dread spares, archers behind, and these archers I'm gonna put in front of my spare wall here, so they can do stuff. Okay, now Harpies, crush. And okay, I'm just gonna send the Hydra into melee and put my archers over here as well. Now these archers they're already skirmishing back. So these dread spears with shields, they're getting properly owned, which means I'm gonna attack with my spears as well. Now we'll need to spend some of the magic Morathi has, so I'm gonna just slow the bunch over there. The shades, we don't get shades yet. Now, so I've chosen quite a defensive army. Let's attack with oops, wrong. Let's attack with our bleak swords here. Can't really see where they are. I'm gonna let that unit rout, because basically routing is just fine, because it saves the unit and we'll get it'll be replenished. Oops. Left click to activate mode. I'm gonna send this into melee. Now it should be time. Can we do our breath attack? No, because we're in melee. So Morathi is going to dump another spell on these guys. Now our archers are doing most of the killing. The spares are just there to discourage. Basically, they're not doing very much, just eating arrows. So it only goes to show the effectiveness of I'm doing poor with the micro on the Hydra, I have to admit. Shades, how about we'll charge you and get it over with. Now here is our murderous prowess. It activates automatically, there's nothing that we have to do about it. So the harpies are going to come into the rear, and we're mailing down this dark shot unit. Now I want to use I'm making real poor use of my my Hydra here. I have to admit, I've been bragging about my thousands and thousands of hours in Total War. Oh, well, it's all true. However, most of the time I was playing, I wasn't recording in the meanwhile, so engaged in melee. Whilst meleeing, we can't use our breath ability, which is a very awesome breath attack spell. The martial prowess is nice. Well, it's not martial prowess, isn't it? But it makes it very unclear to see where our enemies are. Dark shots. Let's get in the melee here as well. Let's just get that lord over done with. Should we do this? Does it? We'll probably hurt our own troops as much as their general. So for me it's very confusing to see which unit belongs to which army. And now this is our army, but say that these guys who are also Dark Elves also get the same buff and same animation. Then who is going to say who's who? But as I was saying, the way I fought this battle is utter crap, I admit. Why don't they just rout? Thing is, if they're gonna rout and they don't disband, then I can fight them again on the campaign map and reap more XP rewards. So that's the thing. Replenishment is such a strong mechanic in this game that okay, now we're gonna torch them. Boom. Let's take a look at this. Whoosh. And now we have victory. I'm gonna take it, and so I'm actually hoping some of their units survive so we can fight them again. 286 probably, and that's gonna be a nice way to rank up Morathi as we go. Now, as I've said a couple of times, I like to have discussion in Let's Take the Slaves in the comments. And about the comments though, do understand that there is no right or wrong really. I'm asking people for their opinions, so perhaps multiple people will give certain opinions that don't exactly coincide. Then do please be respectful of other people's opinions and save me the reviewing, moderating work on a discussion thread. Now, of course, this is Morathi, so we need magic to let her do her thing. This is gonna buff all our dread spares and all our dark shards and all our shades and dark riders, and this is weapon strength for the war hydra. This is for the elite cavalry, and these are buffs for the witch elves, the Harkonath executioners, and blackguard of Nagaron. So more elite cavalry, elite infantry. You can buff them all up, and in terms of sheer killing power, this is a very strong line of buffs. This is going to help the campaign game, and well, it depends, I guess, where your strengths lie. If you want to be supported in your campaign gameplay, then this could be very interesting. It's just going to reduce recruitment costs and replenish casualties, improve public order, and so on. Kind of like eases the difficulty level in campaign for a bit. This is going to help you win battles. The interesting part of that is if the whole of your dread spears is more effective, it'll probably kill more units in battle and therefore rank up quicker. So the more you put in a single line, the more effective those units become, and over time even more once they gain experience. So in the early game, what I usually do is I take the extra 10% just to be able to catch my enemies once they start running away from me, and then I go this way. At the start of the game, we'll have dread spears, we'll have dark shards, and perhaps eventually some dark riders, and the first 60 turns or so, this is where most of our army will be. It's also cheap in upkeep, so we'll probably buff them here, recruit a second army with the same kind of composition, and conquer stuff, defend stuff, rather than going all out on the elite units while I'm only fielding a single army still. So this makes sense, but also giving Morathi a couple of those uber spells that she's really dominating with, of course, is worth the skill points. So a bit of this, that, and then later, I mean, Marathi melee, if you like, yeah, and these special public order bonuses, leadership, and so on, which are mostly, this is of course campaign, but this is nice for the lords in the army. Shades also very specific, depends on your preference. So for the early game, this should do with the skill tree. Now we go to Sabioth. This is like a name out of the box right away. I love to rename my units, but I also want them to be lawful. So if you know from the books or the army books names for characters and units that are actually historic, then please let me know. Now this unit I like to rank 4 ranged mostly, so but this only unlocks at rank 4, and this is more for melee, but you get to do more once you progress this as well. So I'm probably gonna go here most of the time, pick up whenever this unlocks, and then see whatever else is nice to have. For example, loyalty is a game mechanic that really matters for the Dark Elves, so putting a single point in here could be very helpful. Okay, immortality at rank 20 only. Well, but I mean those are the choices that make it more interesting that you could go for. Now, as I said, I want to have a chance to eat that army again, and let's do so. So right now I'm gonna basically auto-resolve as our garrison has come in support, and then it's just we're not losing any units to them. Again, we're getting slaves, 54 of them, and this helps us towards our basically in the slave economy. Right now this city is receiving slaves. Once you receive too many slaves in the population, it starts reducing public order. Which can be nice if you want to farm rebellions and level up your characters, your lords. However, if they're not here, I mean, Morathi should go on campaign soon and wipe the floor with all our opposition. Then, of course, public order can be a nuisance. Missions. We need to hit the bleak guys, the bleak holes. I'm gonna basically destroy them as soon as possible and then get some scrolls, because right now we have only 2, which is definitely is not going to win us the campaign. Now we'll have to replenish a bit more. In how many turns? 1 turn, and we get the upgrade here, and we can recruit some stronger units. I do like to have a set of dread spares and get the bonus versus large. However, the dark shards can be upgraded soon by dark shards with shields, which of course is going to be interesting. Now we have 100 slaves. We just can't perform this right yet. We have 176 actually. We need to unlock it by commanding a province. This will unlock after performing an action with a sorcerer's hero. This will unlock after enslaving 3 sets of captives after a battle. I have to see what that's going to be. This right will unlock after constructing the slave pen. So what I was just saying, to get this counter started, we'll have to recruit the Black Ark. That sets in motion the first 25. So we're gonna save the first 500 of our slaves to get the first Black Ark, and also build towards constructing the slave pen, which is like the only building that unlocks a certain right. And I suspect it's going to be an infrastructure slave pen. Where are we? Help me out here, guys. Slave pen. Nope. Yes, here. So it's gonna be in tier 2, which we've already reached. So once we can upgrade the city, we can build the slave pen, which allows us to actually recruit the Black Ark. And of course, if we're still far away from 500 slaves, then building the slave pens is not going to save us. But if we're actually there or close, then we'll have to think about that slave pen and get the counter on the Black Arks going, because they're like the biggest boon we get from our rights. So if we're ignoring that, then I guess we're doing something wrong. So diplomacy wise, I'm gonna try and pick up trade and non-aggression. Eventually I'd be open for confederation, but then again, I don't want defensive alliances with weak factions that are going to draw us into all kinds of wars. Now, to buff our army just a little bit, I'm gonna merge these weaker units together, because the rest of them, they are mostly replenished anyway. The Sunderer. That's lore. Now, there is of course a lot of lore involved in the entirety of this game. So if you are a lore person, please do let me know and put that out in the comment section. And then you're probably also a tabletop player. If so, I feel you. I have a 10,000 Bretonia army laying around in plastic boxes with the idea, the mission of once at a time actually painting it. I've never gotten around to it really, but I'd like to at some point in my life whenever I have the time. And perhaps that's I've met many people in real life who were in the same situation, and this I started with collecting them. I'm more like a completionist. Same goes for the game really. So I started collecting when I was like in my teens really. I was a teenager. And well, since then I had started with Britannia. They had the most appeal to me at that time when I was young. There were all these knight medieval kinds of movies on the telly. So I grew up watching that, and of course Britannia really did appeal to that. But then after a while I also got acquainted with the Wood Elves and the High Elves and the Dwarves, and those are basically the Warhammer Fantasy factions that I learned to love as well, but I'd never gotten around to collect them actually. And in Warhammer is the first actual opportunity for me to do any battles, because so I had them lying around. I wasn't painting them, nor was I actually fighting with them. So waste of money, or if you like, a good investment, because I have the complete Britannian faction save for like the first, second and third edition. If that means anything to you, then I know you're you're into the game. So, but then of course it's interesting, and really, if you are watching this, you own Warhammer Tabletop Armies, and you know what I'm talking about. Do let me know how you feel they've translated the units and on the lore both actually into this game, because there's some lore breaking issues perhaps to your feeling, and I think it's an interesting point to have discussion about. But then I need opinions first. I'm asking you for yours. You be the judge of the game, and later I'll give you mine, if at all. Now, more dark shards, please. I'm gonna try and go for a full stack army here, see if our economy will support it. Probably not. Once these get recruited, I'm gonna disband these two. There's no enemies close, but I'm gonna try for them anyway, and then start our run around. And now we're actually gaining public order, which is cool. But I'm quite sure once the military presence buff of 15 wears off, when Marathi moves out, this is gonna drop. And then I only hope we're around when the rebellion comes. Now, people watching this review campaign series, I'm positive there will be people out there that are actually new to the series that do not own Warhammer 1. And well, if that's the case, let me know. Better yet, if you're a Total War veteran or a Warhammer veteran, I'd like to know as well. If you're watching this, considering to buy it or not, just drop it down there, and would be nice to discuss. Now, we've been issued a new mission to search a ruined settlement for treasure, and who can do that? A rune with an army, once searched, will not yield further. So we're gonna have to march Morathi or another lord into a settlement. However, doing that now, recruiting a lord, is going to hurt our economy just way too much. Anyway, let's disband the dark shards, and now our economy is in the negative, but we can support that for at least 10 turns, unless of course we are building something. Slaves percentage 7%. Public order -1. So this is where you can actually monitor the buffs and debuffs. 5 turns till surplus, then we can build this. Let's gather some slaves. Our province is these 3, and my first target will be Iron Spike. So if you've been paying attention during the intro video with the review of the surrounding areas, this is now in the fog of war, but there's a huge fortress over here that to me appeared probably bigger than this one. So I'm gonna like run a half circle, go here, go there, cross here, and try for that fortress over there. Because also in the, where did I see that? No, go away. We have a total of 3 missions that could reap us a lot of scrolls if and when we complete them. So let's try and get those scrolls going as well. Here's actually a rune. No, what is it? This is a mysterious island. Can be searched with a lord. And this is a rune, and we need to march in an army, which is also commanded by a lord. So for us to do that kind of stuff, we are going to need another lord. But anyway, I think the upkeep is going to be too high. I'm first gonna level our economy and then get the other lord and do that and keep him doing that. If we were to go into force march, then this is where we reach, so let's do that. Although there is no real need for it because we're gonna reach it on the next turn anyway. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. Diplomacy, anything to do? I doubt it. I think we've reached the part where we're just gonna have to improve rank and do stuff, kill people that other people hate, and eventually, hey, someone's gonna come around and say you killed my enemy, and I'm gonna propose you. I'm gonna propose marriage. So yeah, I think we're ready for the end turn once more. We're gonna go into turn 7. And see. Nothing happened really. Lord not moved. Yeah, of course. Not yet, you should say. Right. Iron Spike. That sounds nice. Sorry. As much as I like to fight my battles, yes, let's occupy. What does this give us? More slaves. And a very high negative. Sack it gives even more slaves, but I want to own it. And if I were to sack it now and occupy it on the next turn, I'm gonna have a 202 extra slaves. And minus 20 public order. I'm interested in slaves. So I'm gonna sack it now. And we've gained a follower and other stuff. I'm gonna level her up. Now is time to get the spell line started. And we're gonna get there soon enough. We're already at level 4. Now Hawkeye. Let's get the range thing. As long as he stands still, he's gonna fire arrows. So let's make the most of those. And then every once in a while he's gonna charge into melee. But that's not gonna be so very often. So are we being sieged yet? No. Okay, we're taking our bloody time, and all the while these guys have a free approach at our capital, but what the heck. A high elf slave. That's fun. Let's hit the end turn. Now politics, there's a buff to politics. Diplomatic relations plus 20. It should be part of our game as Marathi. However, I'm not seeing too much of it. I wonder how you feel about the politics aspect of the Morathi campaign so far. If you think I think it's kind of bland, to be honest. I think it's bland. I would have expected more out of that. We don't have any. We could take another 70 slaves and loot, but it's probably gonna hurt the public order too much. I mean, I don't mind a little rebellion if we can put it down and level up. We're gonna have to control a province. Alright, we're on it. This is what I hate. We've just conquered this and I can't move out. I'd like to be on my way, please. Now we've spent 1 movement point. Cooldown to Power of Darkness minus 50%. Yeah. And Overcast on Doom of Darkness minus 30% of cooldown. So basically this is gonna provide us with a Doom and Darkness, not Power of Darkness. There's a difference there. Life leeching is fun because this is a constant ability, and those are awesome buffs really. Anything permanent should always be of interest to you. Now we have the same building twice, but that doesn't really mean we have it twice. I'm gonna demolish this one for now, put some growth in there, keep leveling this one until this boat is at tier 3 and then switch over. But right now I'm not going to upgrade this, and actually you can tweak the kind of notifications you want to have in here, and I'm not really interested to be notified when a lord hasn't moved, because I will notice anyway. Hero I can oversee. Imminent rebellion is nice. Damage building is also nice. Siege construction available. I have to see what that is. Vortex ritual I want to know. Unassigned skill points want to know. Commandment available want to know. Research want to know. Low funds. Yeah. I doubt that I will fail to see that approaching, but let's just leave it in there and see how we like it. So very heavy minus, but I bet it applies to the entire province. So the rebellion should probably be over there, and we should be close when it happens, because we're gonna I'm probably gonna sit here. So there we go. Now we have to create a lord to capture this. So as in Warhammer 1, the lord is gonna magically convert into a navy and then sail around, fight other magic navies. Peace tree. How? Oh, you're much weaker than I am at offer. How about you giving me 1,000 gold coins? What is it? Treasury for? Wow. But can you pay it? Let's add another offer. Money. How much money can you have? 3k? Low. Alright, so 3k is too much. 1k was very realistic. How about 2k? And you're a beastman army. I can't really... Okay, let's just go for the 1k that they said was realistic. I'm gonna propose non-aggression because I'll kill them whenever it becomes convenient, but I'll take your money. Yay! What's that noise? Mission issued. Destroy the following faction. Bleakholds. Well, I think we already set out to do that. Now we're driven by vengeance now, as if we weren't already. We're gonna do battle as business and then see what we want here. Morathi. I'm gonna scout ahead with Sabioth. Please give me a better name. And how do I increase the walking speed? I think it's annoying. It's just kind of slow. Now she is going to go into forced march and sit here. Sheesh. Is there... I'm about to go and Google this after this episode is done and see how I can speed movement up, really. Riches for a queen. Oh, trade with Sildra. You are revenge, it's what I keep saying. You are a revenge-driven person. It's actually... I'm gonna keep all our discussion related to gameplay. That's the first thing I should say. So I'm not so interested in discussing the graphics or the cinematics and so on. If you happen to have an opinion, do feel free to leave it about. But I think the gameplay is what mostly concerns us. What? There must be a rebel army over here, right out of our sight. And they are suffering attrition here. Why the hell is that? Is there like some kind of corruption going on? Skaven corruption, perhaps? I don't know. Dark Tower, sure. Just give me growth. Again, negative growth. We've had it in our capital and now it's here again. It means we're going to build the Dark Tower. Give me growth. Growth. And more growth. So we have 2 growth. Oh no. This is the growth one. So let's go for growth. Now, Marathi. How about you get out of force march stance? Crap.
I watch from the shadows.
Okay. Go and siege that.
Fury.
Can we siege it, or are we just short? I should have moved her in a little bit closer. Just a really tiny little bit, because that could have meant the conquest of this
Guide us, Kay.
settlement right here on this turn, and then save us a turn in terms of movement to be about our business. We are getting close to those 500 slaves pretty fast. So once this upgrades, we're gonna have another building slot, and right away I'm gonna slap in that slave pen over there. Or maybe even what's this? Ah, I can't kill this. We'll get there. We'll get our first Black Ark. But we've seen a couple of mechanics. There's the right mechanic, the slave mechanic, and it adds to management level in terms of micro on the campaign. However, it's nowhere near to Attila or any other those kind of games, and it's something to have an opinion about, really. Crap. I'm gonna fight this, and that's probably gonna be the end of our first episode. Also, once we finish this battle. But in terms of challenge in the campaign game, do you think the campaign management is too simple, or too complex, or in the sweet spot, or just wrong? I mean, in terms of like it has mechanics and micro management stuff where you wouldn't want to have it in a total war game, which is primarily focused, of course, on battles, whereas Warhammer is even more focused on battles because it's originally a tabletop game that is not connected to campaign management at all. So I could expect people to have strong opinions about it. And then that is what interests me. I'm gonna put a line of spares over there, put my archers in behind. The harpies are going to go whenever they can and do a rear charge. I'm gonna skirmish with my hero at the front. In fact, I'm also going to skirmish with my dark shards, and then Morathi is going to be in the center here, do the best she can with her morale buff and range on her abilities. So our right flank is going to be slightly unprotected, but here we go. And let's speed things up a little, because I also want to talk about stuff, not only do micro. The level of micro in campaign. Do pause the game, leave a comment, and give me an opportunity to actually chat and discuss with you how you feel about that. And then there's a lot of other things I'd like to discuss with people, really. That I'm confident. Let's see if we can hide this Hydra in the woods. That'd be awesome. I'm like a huge monster, but I'm sitting behind a tree, so you won't see. Now their army has certain, like these guys, diminished numbers. That should be more easy to actually rout. And something else is going to happen. They see my Hydra. I'm going to, instead of letting them charge 3 units full speed at my Hydra and keep it occupied throughout the duration of the game, I'm going to use it as a flanking force, actually on my other flank here, because I have my hero over there, Sabiok, who needs a name change, which hopefully one of you viewers is going to suggest. So, and the harpies can fly over everything, basically going to sit here. So now they're going to go, my line is more balanced, they're marching towards me from the front, and I'm just going to rain down hell on them with my archers. They're in column formation. Excellent. So these guys are going to focus there. I want them focused there. I want you focused there. And I want you focused on that one. And you also focus on the left one. Now these red spears are going to come forward rapidly. And these 3 I'm going to take out a skirmish. Now these pairs can Move this way. And this unit of spares as well. Now I'm gonna have to bring up my Hydra right now because that one's going to do all the flanking work. Oh my god, I'm killing them way too fast. Or not. Let's go for Melkot's Mystifying Miasma over there. And I'm gonna go with the Harpies over to the flank and not draw any fire. But instead, they've already been reduced. So let's charge them from the rear with my Dread Spears. Or from the side, the flank, whatever. And now, let's bring in the Hydra and torch them all. Set them on fire, my Hydra friend. Over here and put it on them there. And then after that we're gonna charge them with the Harpies. And our little nice hero over there. I'm gonna also bring over Marathi. We have magic, let's use it. You stay there. And please, now we've Murderous Prowess. They are on. They've probably already unlocked their Murderous Prowess or something. I don't know. I want Morathi to give chase. Now these guys are sandwiched. Nagarothi, you're going to march forward. Time for another fire breath. If there's going to be a mod that disables this this effect, I'd like to have it here, but to see it on every unit, I think it's disturbing. Forgive me if this is what you like to see. It doesn't help me fight my game at all. It totally. If there's an option to disable that, I haven't seen it. Maybe I've overlooked it, but sheesh. Scroll of Leeching. But this is not a magic user. Dazzler is a sword and crossbow. It's more like a melee kind of unit. So charge in. Our harpies are under fire. Can't even tell where they are really. Just draw them out. Oh, they were being meleeed down by their lord, perhaps. Yeah. Yeah, what it also does is it makes it impossible to see if the unit that they're fighting is actually routing or not. So I think that doesn't help. I'm gonna bring Marathi over there, give her something to do. What's this? Coming back to fight again? No, you're not. I'm gonna kill you. And the Lord is dead. We're gonna. Now, I'd prefer to have a notification like Murderous Prowess is on, Murderous Prowess is off, and then I'll know. But to have this flares going on and off the entire time, it's not for me. I consider it to be silly, and well, that's the thing. It's perhaps part of the graphics. I said I wouldn't comment, but I do have an opinion. This is too gimmicky, too gamey for me, too arcadey. It doesn't help, it's just confusing. Not an improvement if you ask me. 116 slaves, and then I'm gonna sack this settlement, and then I'm gonna occupy it. So, whoa, you're gonna come again? So we should be completing a series of missions once we take the settlement, and then get going with the Scrolls of Akarthi. Reward 10 Scrolls of Akarthi if we, yeah. I'll raid when I've killed this bunch. And it only makes sense to raid if it's a rich area, a rich settlement. Otherwise there's no real benefit to it. Now let's pick up another spell to have some more variety in our gameplay, in our battles. And right now I'm going for extra ammunition because it's going to keep him going for longer. However, is he really going to spend it ever? Now look at our Hydra here. Is now unit rank 9. So getting XP on the Hydra is not something to to gear your gameplay towards. It's just gonna happen. Anyway, we need to conquer this. I'm not gonna merge anything. We'll keep him this way. Now, I have tons of topics and questions more to discuss, so if you feel that you're getting somewhere with the kind of review that we're doing, let me know. I'm gonna ask the question I promised to ask at the start. Is this game worth playing it for you or not? Please do leave that down in the comments, and we'll get started. So you'll see there's plenty more to come, and also in the next episode we're going to go ahead with this. If you want to see that, please do subscribe. And for now, this concludes our episode for today. If you have any questions for me that you'd like me to answer, just drop them down in the comments below. And if you have questions for other viewers that you'd like to discuss with them, drop them in there. I'm sure people will respond, and if not, I certainly will. Also, thank you for participating in that comment section, really, because that's, as I said, is something I like to do with you. Also, thanks for watching, if indeed you have up to this point. Feel a like if you appreciate the efforts that I've put into making the video, and then well, there's plenty more coming up. Do subscribe, and see you next time.